Hi, welcome back. Joe Bruno here. For those of you first timers who have never been to my channel, please subscribe. I'd really appreciate all the subscribers I can get because the more of you know about my channel, well, the more you'll learn. Boy, that sounded pretty egotistical. Egotistical. Anyway, not that all of you bass players. Well, anyway, I won't get into that. This is all about how I approach playing the bass. I'm different than a lot of bass players. A lot of people like what are called pocket players, and when it comes to certain types of gigs, blues especially, I'm like totally in the pocket. And so the pocket would be considered something like where the drummer's just going like boom boom bop boom 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 bop boom 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 bop boom 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 bop boom 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 boom. That's a snare drum, right? This is the bass drum. Boom boom boom. So now this is totally in the pocket. You're not on top of the beat, you're just kind of like, I can't talk and play at the same. Anyway, here I'll just stop playing for a minute. So when you play in time with the beat, the real inside the pocket would be just a hair, like a minuscule behind the beat, and that would be what I consider totally in the pocket. Now there's some bass players that like to play on top, and when I play with a drummer who is used to a bass player playing on top, my form of pocket playing will actually get that drummer to slow down, and then he'll think I'm dragging. And so whenever I play in a situation like that, I no longer play with that band because I'm not going to tell the drummer, I'm sorry, but I'm a pocket player, so you have to compensate for that. Instead, I just say no when they ask me to play with them, and everything's fine, and we're still friends. So you please take that advice. If you want to stand the good side of the drummers out there, again, and especially the bass player that plays way on top of the beat, and those of you that do play way on top of the beat, more power to you. That's great because you're consistent, you know, and you give that band a totally different feel, which is why they like you. Again, some people like on top of the beat, some people like the pocket. Now, again, I'm just really focusing on blues and rock and more contemporary playing, funk, but I'm not going to get into swing, because playing on top of the beat when you're doing swing is really good for listening, terrible for dancing. Pocket playing all the way around internationally is for dancing, and it really it gets people moving in their seat. Again, in my opinion, it is all about the bass. So anyway, here I go with that pocket, like. Doesn't seem like much, right? But it's really important, just holding that pocket line in and being able to play the same thing and just, get yourself through the night, because you have to do that for like 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 minutes, and yeah, it can get a little boring. Hey, but imagine what the drummer has to go through. All right. Anyway, of course, the guitar players, all they have to do is strum some chords and play a few lines that they practice, but except for Dovydas, of course. Anyway, but the way I like to approach pocket sometimes is where if the drummer's playing, right, that's what the drummer's doing, I'm doing this. Gives it a totally different feel, but it fits perfectly with that pocket. And as long as I've been playing, I definitely know it works. I've played with hundreds of drummers, hundreds of bands, and that's that's me. That's the way I like to approach playing. Unless someone says, only play in the pocket, then I'll only play in the pocket. If I'm recording, most likely I will play the simple thing, unless, of course, it's in something where I'm invested in. Anyway, there's various ways to play in the pocket. Here's a song made famous by the wonderful Dickie Betts, Allman Brothers, and One Way Out. One Way Out, Dickie lives in this area, so I know I've worked with people that work with him, and they want me to play this line. that's the groove I like to play. Of course, it's a different, for those of you that want to hear the song, okay. See, that's one way out, the regular bass line where I play. See, and that's how I would approach that song. Again, I'm actually creating an on top of the beat feel where I'm pushing the song, and it gives it a totally different feel. Instead of a boom chicka boom, it's boom ba ba doom ba 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 doom. It gives it a much more hip, just more livelier feel. So again, being a bass player, you don't have to totally play in the pocket. I've kind of created my identity, and of course isolated myself from people that prefer people playing note for note. Again, unrehearsed, I don't like to do that. I listen to songs, I know songs. If I've heard a song 100 times on the radio, I will, when I'm playing that song for the first time without any rehearsal, I'll hear the song in my head, but I'll make up my own bass line that sort of fits what the other guy's doing. Because when I hear a song, I hear all parts, hear the vocals, hear the backgrounds, hear the guitar, keyboards, drums, everything. And so that's my approach, because again, I do not sit down with the record. There are certain very, very well-known bassists that have really proven teaching styles that work with a lot of bass players. Again, I'm from a different school. My school was never sit down and play with the record ever. Which, leads to you having to picture me playing first cuts of Dovidas songs on YouTube for the first time, where I've never actually worked with them. Anyway, that's another story. So, but again, I do not follow the school of practice the lines, sit down and learn it off the record. The main reason is because when you learn stuff that way, you will forget it. I guarantee you will forget, because anything put into your conscious memory goes away, goes bye-bye. So you have to find yourself practicing these songs all the time in many situations, of course, unless you have a tape recorder memory. But for some reason, if I've heard a song on the radio and somebody plays it, I can play that song. I don't know how I do it, but my memory goes right to my left hand, and you'll notice I look at my right hand, because I'm making sure my right hand plays the right stuff. But yeah, there's different forms of playing. I do not do yet, maybe sometime in the future, I do plan on doing a video where I actually learn how to play what I call music store bass, which is these guys doing all this fancy stuff with their thumbs and everything. But again, me, pocket playing is, that's important. It's all about that type of bass playing, because that's what's going to actually get you playing with the bands. And I play with quite a few different bands, if they have me, because again, I'm very busy. So the ones that allow me to sub out, I play with them, and I play all over the place. So, but yeah, there's many different ways of playing the bass. I use fingernails. If you notice, there's a clicky sound in my playing. These are actually a little bit long. When I was with the Ringling Brothers, Greatest Show on Earth, the sound man actually gave me a choice. I need a pick or fingernails, because you're giving me too much voltage. And it was on a fretless bass. So wow, I had to make a choice. And that's another story, playing the fretless in the dark when you're reading music. Yeah, so I can give this bass a really cool pick sound. So my fingers, can get a good pick sound. Now, all I have to do is play a little bit differently, and I can play that same lick without my finger picks. Now you notice my fingers have still a lot of click to them. Well, these are called calluses. Yeah, you can't really hear them, but they're very, very, very hard because this is from playing upright. Anyway, but it's good when you're an upright player to use these fingernails because it really gives you a nice sound that can actually be heard over everything else without blowing away the band with tons of bottom end. And again, basses are full range instruments in my opinion. You cannot get full range out of a 15 or an 18-inch speaker. You need a full PA speaker. That's what I play out of right here, this little Yamaha. And that's a PA head. Believe it or not, this is a bass amp that I actually used to use before I got my Aguilar. Anyway, but I still use this speaker. I have a 15-inch Monster EV cabinet that I've got in Nashville right now for when I go there. But what I do is I'll stick one of these on top of it. It gives me a really good full range sound. Anyway, any of you people that are wondering about this bass, this is a 1979 Spectre bass. This was the sound of Journey, and you can see it's got broken knobs and everything. I've had this since the early 80s. I played fretless from 1978 until maybe 2005, and I had a Spectre fretless and went to an Ovation. But anyway, what's a good sound for, let's see. That's the, anyway, Journey had one of those basses. This would be a big portion of the sound of the 80s. Spectre basses were really big in the 80s, and Sting used one, again, Journey, can't think, Duran Duran, a lot of different bands that had really cool mid-range bass sounds. The bass player was playing one of these basses, and most of them had normal size hands. Anyway, anyway, I hope I enlightened you just a little bit today with this little piece on the way I approach the bass. And remember, whatever way you do it is the right way because it's you, and just be true to yourself, and and everything will be fine. Don't stress out. It's all about the bass.